One of my hobbies as a child was Lego. And I think I found my way of building Lego in my professional life with this problem-solving approach, trying to bridge both business and technology and try to please both while, and that's the most important thing, fulfilling customer expectations, because that's what drives any business. If someone asks me, what is the biggest challenge you've ever faced in a project, it's definitely people. But also the most rewarding, to be honest. Business sets the drivers, sets the goals. Technology will make it, well, let's say, will enable it. But people will actually make it happen.
Welcome, Maf. Let's see what AI has to say about you.
Mafalda Barros is a business consulting lead at Mindera. Her work and thought leadership primarily focus on how technology, AI, and social platforms intersect with consumer industries like retail and travel. Key highlights of her public-facing work at the company include the future of retail. She presented a concept video for Mindera exploring ambient commerce. She discusses a near future where retail is an invisible AI-augmented ecosystem integrated seamlessly into daily life, driven by emotional connections, artistry, and storytelling rather than just transactions.
I think Gemini got it pretty good. So yes, I'm Maf. I worked for Mindera for the last 4 years. I joined because we wanted to expand the service offering to our clients, and we created this business consulting area so that we could also have a seat at the table when our clients want to discuss business topics with us. Either if it's, should we have an app? Should we focus on the website? Should we create a loyalty program? Or should we keep it informal as we have at the moment? Should we grow to a different market? Should we expand our product assortment? So we weren't able to have these kind of discussions with our clients because we've been a tech services company by design since we were born. We really wanted to be more and to do more for our clients. So we created this department.
Your background is software engineering, right? So you moved into business consulting, leadership, which is not as common as one might think. There's a lot of different people going into this from different streams. How did you end up here?
I am a software engineer by degree. That's true. Back in 2002, I think. I really like technology, also because I was born in the middle of it. My dad worked with all the computers at the time, etc. So part of my hobbies were assemble and some of those computers, printers, etc. So I really like technology, but I also love people. I also love business. Since the beginning of my professional career, I could understand I could be doing more than just programming, let's say, or developing in front of a computer, because I could, and I loved to speak to the business side of things, understand their challenges, and find solutions for their problems. One of my hobbies as a child was Lego, and I think I found my way of building Lego in my professional life with this problem-solving approach, trying to bridge both business and technology and try to please both while, and that's the most important thing, fulfilling customer expectations, because that's what drives any business.
What were the experiences there in your previous companies that led you to get to this approach of business and consulting that you have today?
So I started as a software engineer doing my internship, and I developed a software for customer service tool, like a portal, internal portal. I think that's where I actually, even though it was developing, I actually understood the relevance of the customer to any business. And that's what has been my main focus in every engagement that I've been working with. So from that moment onwards, I moved into the consulting side of things. So I left the engineering and moved into the consulting. And I've been always working as an external consultant for different businesses or for Sonai. I was an internal consultant, always between the business and the technology side.
So I have a company, let's say, let's create a scenario. I have a company and I'm thinking about business scenarios. I know what I want. Why would I bring you to the game?
I'd say that for the entrepreneurs that create businesses, it's their babies. Even for the ones that are leading big corporations, I probably have a pragmatic lens and I don't get emotionally attached to the business. The focus on the outcomes and don't let emotions interfere. I think that's what we would probably bring. And of course, the other competitors as well, or the industry's information. Because as a consultant, which is part of what I really like, is our projects are usually smaller than the engineering ones. So we do have to create relationships much faster. We have a lot of different topics ongoing, so we have to learn fast, and we have to come up with solutions as well, adapted to the use cases. I know people talk about frameworks, and then we have frameworks that can be applied to any client, but we actually don't believe in that, because each business is a specific business. Even though they might belong to the same industry, I'm sure they have different characteristics and specifics that would not make the same framework work in the same way. Of course, that we have a baseline, but there's always adaptation that we have to do for each business.
When we think about business consultancy, we think about slide decks. Like, you bring a lot of slide decks, beautiful things, very crafted. How do you actually go from probably an idea on a slide deck to reality and make it real?
Slide decks are, let's say, the basis of the consulting work. From, let's say, the last years, I think people have created kind of an aversion to slides because they remember the old times where slides were just a piece of paper that someone would store in their drawer, for instance, and would never read it. We do use slides, that's for sure, because it's definitely a more visual way of conveying the message that we are trying to share. But the slides, it's just informative. So what happens in the rooms, the face-to-face, and again, this is a topic that is different from the engineering. We do require face-to-face time. We still value the face-to-face time a lot. We are talking about workshops where the strategy or the ideas, the concepts start to have a shape. That's where we fit in, running workshops with the client, understanding what they have at the moment, what are the goals that they would like to achieve, their customer profiles, even their employees. So we always analyze a customer from processes, people, and technology as well, because all of those three axes are part of the equation to make a successful story.
When you're doing business consultancy, one of the hard points of that is people, like the resistance, the skepticism, and a bunch of things. So how do you look at that? And is that really just a perception, or is this one of the hard things to tackle?
No, I completely agree. If someone asks me, what is the biggest challenge you've ever faced in a project, is definitely people, but also the most rewarding, to be honest. Business sets the drivers, sets the goals. Technology will make it, let's say, will enable it, but people will actually make it happen. And we would always need people to be embracing change, understanding what we are going to achieve. But the question that they all make is, what's in it for me? Why do I have to join this project? How is that going to help me in my day-to-day? Am I getting a boost in my career because I've joined this project? So the questions are various. What we always adopt is a full transparency approach. So we tend to share exactly what is the goal of that project, even if the project is just a mandate from someone and we can't actually see the benefits, let's say, because sometimes it's very common, we still share that transparency. We share our past experiences. We try to make people trust us so that they embrace the project.
Different stakeholders or different people around you will want different things, right? And getting them to agree on a path is always also something that you probably struggle. So you leverage that by trust. Earning trust quickly is something that you think is like very important on what you do.
It is very important. And I've mentioned before, consulting usually goes through shorter assignments. So sometimes if we're working on a project which has 3 months, if we don't build trust on the first 2 weeks, we're not going to make it. We have developed that skill of building trust. And giving you an example, I remember working at a company where nobody could speak to the database person. So you would follow a very, very strict process of first in, first out, no exceptions, etc. And I really needed that project to go through on a specific date because it was Christmas, so it was a launch also on social media. And I decided to sit next to him for 2 weeks, just sitting there, nothing else. Of course, being part of the usual conversations on a day-to-day. And I did understand that the guy loved merchandising. And I had a lot of things, merch stuff at my house. So the next day, of course, I brought all the merch that I had at home and gave it to him. That was it, was the secret sauce to get him onboarded on the project. So we did accomplish the date because we listened. We were there side by side, and we actually cared about each other. I wanted to know what he valued so I could help him out with that. And that's something that we have to develop as a consultant to make sure we build trust very quickly and we get this bonding, this transparency and engagement in a natural way.
How do you handle when they say, okay, you're proposing this, but what is actually the return on investment on this?
So sometimes it's not obvious. It's easier when the KPIs are very straightforward. When we're talking about culture topics like a reorg or employee engagement, those things are a bit more complex to measure for sure. But we can always have a qualitative way of understanding if the project has been a successfully delivery or not. We run surveys before and after. And the other thing is that those kind of projects take longer than the other ones. Let's say CTO had asked us to come up with a reorg because she was onboarded as the new CTO. Of course, to understand if our recommendation was actually the best one, we had to understand how the employees were feeling about this new change, how they would interact with each other, the different forces, let's say, that would impact the collaboration and the cooperation. And after that being implemented, and all this information had been considered in the recommendation, of course. And after a while, we had to run another survey to understand if it had improved or not. Of course, you can always scale it, but it's more on a qualitative way than a quantitative way, I would say.
Interesting. So I did a bit of homework for this. On one of the videos you share about retail moving from personalization to immersion. What are we talking about? Like, are we going to swim in retail?
Perhaps. No. So we live now in a hyper-personalization era. We've managed to create a static personalization, and by that I mean the profiling of the customers. But that would still mean that you and I, for instance, we both belong to the bucket A. Yeah. We will get exactly the same offer. And we might not like that offer because we have different settings at home, for instance. So we are now, with data and AI, of course, we are now moving towards an hyper-personalization era. We're living it and still building it. But we will be in the anticipation era. And that's why we say immersion, because retailers are starting to get to know us better than we do, actually. And I say retailers, but it can be any other
Whatever
industries.
Has data about us.
Yeah.
Right.
They will start to understand what do we need before we actually understand we need it. And that's the anticipation of it. Imagine that you, for instance, you book tickets for a concert in Berlin. Someone is actually already suggesting you a flight to Berlin because you live in Porto. Or you book a wedding in your calendar to September. Immediately, a company or different brands would suggest you an outfit for that wedding, or a pair of shoes, or even flights if you have to fly. So that's what I mean by immersion, because we will be living our life and we will be prompted, or let's say given the information that we need before we actually started to think that we need it.
Is what you're saying coming from data or intuition? And more than that, do you believe both of them could coexist?
Yes and yes.
So which one? Is it coming from data or intuition?
Both.
Okay.
Actually, what we are seeing based on the data shared by different clients is that the customers are already ready for this. Because if you think about it, we already let the algorithms choose our music or our drive. So commerce is actually the next one. It takes a little bit more because also involves payments, and payments means I have to trust agents to spend for me. But we are, as customers, we are already ready for that.
But you imagine that I'm going to probably let it pick my own tuna that I want to eat and what meat do I prefer. You're looking into that perception that I will delegate part of my choices to an AI or something that knows me better than I do.
For sure. The next step is brands working on anticipation, or let's say start consolidating the hyper-personalization and then move to the anticipation. And anticipation means that we have to have agents, or the brands will have to have agents to be able to deliver that anticipation. Because if we think about the number or the millions of customers that our clients have, for instance, it's not human possible, right? So we would have to have agents. So it's all connected into this concept of immersion, the evolution of loyalty perspective of a customer is being defined. Data is showing that, and intuition is also showing that, because I remember telling to my husband 5 years ago that pretty soon we would all have a chip implanted somewhere, because we already have our mobile phones, but those are external. And that chip would allow myself and also the brands that I interact with, my house, my doctor, everything, to actually provide us a better experience just by leaving. So instead of I have to go to the supermarket, no, the agent is already connected to my calendar, which knows that I'm going to host a dinner party at my house on Friday, so I'd better recommend some recipes as an agent. And if I accept roast beef, then the list of groceries is already set up to be sent to a retailer of my preference, or even further, a negotiation between agents of the different grocery suppliers, for instance. So that's my intuition. But now that 5 years had passed, it's definitely what the data is showing us. And the other question you mentioned, can data and intuition both live? Yes. So when we say that we want to have an informed decision-making process, it doesn't mean that we are going to follow what the data is telling us. Sometimes data is numbers, but there are external variables, external conditions, as unfortunately the war, as many economic situations that we have faced recently, even COVID, that cannot be, at a first instance, be identified by data. So yes, both can coexist, but I'd rather make a different decision after I've analyzed my data than not having data and just go with my intuition.
Fair enough. So you mentioned AI a lot and your intuition for the future. So is AI coming for you also? So are we going to just go to Gemini or ChatGPT and just say, like, I want to do this to my business. Let's forget about math. They will propose me a new solution for what I want to do.
AI is here and is here to stay. I've embraced it. Honestly, I love it. I use it on a daily basis. I never deliver something directly from AI. So I always analyze what AI is giving to me, and then I make a decision on what I should keep. Yeah, it's just a new tool for me. We should see it as exactly the same way as we've embraced online. How many years have passed? A lot. And we still have physical experiences. And actually, we have brands that are much more worried with the physical experience than the digital one, than the online. So for me, AI is just another revolution. I'm not scared. I actually really like it. And I think it's a very, very good, powerful tool if we use it with conscience.
When have you been wrong? So when have you been, your gut feeling went into something that you didn't foresee or that you had to unlearn?
It was not with AI. It was with people.
Okay.
Honestly, as I said before, people, I think, is the most challenging variable. Sometimes people decided not to focus on the project, but more focus on individual. And that was something that I had to learn, because I'm very passionate about what I do. I love my job, I love my team, I love working here, and I'm happy every day. And I have to understand that not everyone has the same opportunity, let's say, or the same experience that I've had until now. The way I have set for myself professionally is not what everybody has to follow.
I wonder if the fear of failure also comes into that. Like when you're doing business changes, it implies some experimentation, it implies some risk. How do you actually create an environment where people know that it can fail, but they still are willing to take the risk and go into that?
Culturally, Portuguese people are usually, we overshare. And I tend to do that, not because it's culturally accepted, but I also do that to break the ice. So I share my own failures very humbly because I'm not perfect. It's okay to fail as long as you learn out of that failure. And that comes to my second point, which is instead of focusing on the wins or the losses, we should focus on the learnings of each of them. Either if it's a success or a failure, we should always focus on the learnings that we are able to get out of any process. And the third one, it would be the approach and the reasoning of getting to this outcome, either if it's a failure or a success, should also be valuable and should also be valued.
What about the kind of success? What's the most proud moment that you remember?
Proud moment, I think it's always winning a project. Being able to be part of an RFP process. And usually those processes, we haven't yet started engaging with the client full speed. So it's very, very formal meetings where everyone tries to be professional, of course, as professional as possible. And there's a distance. Winning a project means, okay, I'm going to get to know more about that industry, that brand, those people, that location. Every member of the team feels thrilled when we see, okay, there's a new opportunity, we're going to learn, because I think that's what actually moves us, the learning opportunities that consulting gives us.
Let me throw you another curveball. And if you're listening to this is probably the most useful question here. So I'm hearing this and really nice conversation. Maf is saying some interesting stuff. But why should I hire Mindera instead of hiring someone else?
We tend to say that our pinch of salt is having both consulting and engineering under one roof. Having this ability and accountability as well to deliver what we have ideated together, what we've designed as a solution together, and then being able to support it in the adoption phase as well. It's what makes us different from others, because we have the end-to-end capability of actually making things happen. We usually say that we are suitless consultants that make things happen because we really want to roll up our sleeves and see how the changes that we have recommended are impacting the customers or the end users, depending on the situation. So we are very hands-on, and we really like to be working together with the client.
It's funny that you mention a lot, we, like the team. What kind of team do you refer about? Is it everyone with the same background as you? Are they diverse in coming from different backgrounds? What makes a good business consulting team?
I think what makes the best is having the right mix of skill sets. And we have engineers like myself, even though I'm not hands-on on the software development, but I do understand tech, as well as other colleagues that we have in the team. We have a musician that decided to...
If anything fails, you can go into...
To music, for sure. No, but we have a musician that decided to move to a different topic. So he invested on post-graduation in analytics, and is now working with us for 2 years already. It's the mix of the different experiences that we have within the team that makes us able to deliver insights in so many different industries as well.
To wrap up, if you could put one message inside our yellow box for every listener to open, what would you say?
For companies that are embracing this AI revolution, I would say explore as much as possible, but don't forget to be human. For people, I would just say be happy.
So thank you for that, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
And for everybody that wants to know more, Maf has a lot of things out there that she has talked about. So search for her and you'll be surprised. Thank you a lot. See you next time.
Thank you.